quick overview about Variphy. Variphy is the preferred analytics solution for Cisco collaboration. We provide industry-leading CDR reporting and call analytics, completely customizable dashboards, wallboards, widgets, as well as UCCX reporting, real-time dashboards and widgets. On top of a lot of other features like remote phone control, change, and DID management. So there's definitely a full solution. If you guys have any questions about any of the other solutions that are not covered here today, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to go over it with you. But for the purpose of today's session, we're going to go ahead and focus strictly on Variphy 12.2 and the UCCX period-over-period analytics. Again, any questions on any of the other features, feel free to reach out. Now, before we do get started, I do want to talk about one of our consultative offerings here. Variphy does offer consultative service, so anything you are seeing today that you just don't want to do, you got Variphy to have your back. So we do offer a consultative service where we will run the reports for you, work with your team on a one-on-one basis. You will have a dedicated systems engineer that is strictly focused to you guys and your account. That's for running reports, upgrading the system, or any of the general maintenance that goes along with reporting. Again, what it comes down to is we are kind of an extension of your organization. Anything you guys need, you have a dedicated engineer to go ahead and help you out with. So if you have any other questions about our NECS offering, please feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to take those offline and answer any questions that we can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the live demo. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and pass you the ball here.
All right, thank you very much. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
You should have that now, or
Coming.
It's going to you.
There
you go, buddy.
All right. Boom. All right, there we go. All right, thank you everyone for hanging out with us today. What you're seeing here, this is one of our internal demo systems. This is running, if in the corner you can see it's running an early release of 12.2. I'm going to go over how to build out agent reports and CSQ reports using all the new features released for CCX reporting in 12.2, highlighting the period over period analytics, but I'll also cover on some of the stuff that you can do in earlier releases, such as just building, formatting basic reports. So we'll go ahead, and then after that, I'll build one report of each, one agent, one CSQ, and then I'll show some examples that have been that I ran this morning, instead of going through and creating every report by hand again. So we only have half an hour, so we'll go. I'll start by building out an agent report. Everything here in 12.2 will stay the same as what you saw in 12.1. The basic settings, you can give it a name. Description is still optional. Here we go. My mic, and the date format and time frame are still there. The big difference between the agent report and the CSQ report is down below, where you can create, in the agent report, you can create an agent search set. This will tell our report, which agents to include in the report. If you were to just run it as is without creating a search set, you're bringing back every agent with the contact center. So in this case, to keep things simple, I will grab a couple of agents. Oh, hang on, agents. And we'll pick on Alec, Angel, and Holly. And so on the CSQ report, instead of picking your agents, you would pick your individual queues. The next section is the agent statistics section. This is where everything's kind of changed in 12.2. I think this is our other demo system, which is running 12.1.7. When you go to build a report, what we used to call data grouping, you would come in here, you would pick the fields that you want to see, and then the data would be grouped. So if you ran a report for an entire month and you included, the total count. Total count or inbound ICD count, it would summarize the entire count over the for the entire month. So now going back to 12.2, this is a little bit different. So now we have three different statistic content types. We have the summary statistics table. This is what was available in 12.1, but we've added two new content types. We have the time period statistics chart, which is like a graph only available if you're outputting the report in PDF format. And then we have the time period statistics table. This is where the period over period analytics comes into play. So I'll build one of each, and then we'll kind of show you how each of them kind of are different and the same, and kind of with the same data. So we'll start with the summary stats table, and then we'll just pick a couple just frequently used fields. We'll go with full counts. So we'll do inbound count, inbound ICD count, inbound handled count, and we'll just wrap it up with inbound ICD handle. Now, all these options were still available in 12.1, and if you built the report in 12.1 and you upgrade to 12.2, your reports will be converted. Nothing will change. In the output of the report, you'll still see this screen here with the different content types. But as far as the output goes, it'll stay the same. So we'll start with this, and then we'll add we'll minimize that, and we'll add a new content. So you see when you add new content, it's at the top. If you want to change the order in which the content is displayed in the report, just click the up or down arrows on the left-hand side to move them around. We'll come down here and pick a statistics table, and time period stats table. We'll break this out by, we have the ability to select different time units. We can go as small as quarter hour of the day or as large as every month. So for this, we'll do hour of day. And scroll down, and for this, I'll pick the same stats as before. So we'll do inbound count, inbound ICD count, handled count, and abandoned count. And then up here, we have there's different rows in the stats table. So we have agent-specific rows. These will, break down, it'll break down these stats per agent. So you'll see, Alec has this number of inbound calls, and it has this number of inbound ICD calls, and then, Angel and Holly. And then the summary row will include like a grand total of each. So I'll include them both for now, and then point out you can turn, either one on or off, but you at least need to have one selected for the content type. Minimize that and build a third. This is the chart. Put this at the bottom of the report. Same idea with the chart. You can either have it be, agent-specific data, or you can summarize, your data based upon the, the search set configured under your basics tab. So we'll do the same thing hour a day, but you don't have to. So if you want to do, a table that's broken down by date or by hour of date, or you can do multiple time units. You can break it down by date and then also by hour of day. And you can also, pick different options, or you can include, more than one content type. So if you wanted to include multiple tables or multiple types of graphs with different types of data, you can do so here. But to keep things simple, we'll just keep doing the same and kind of show how everything is similar and yet different. Count, inbound count, ICD count, handled and abandoned. Perfect. Okay, time period chart. You can also select either a bar chart or a line chart. For this, I'll go with a bar. State details, it's the same as in 12.1. You can turn them on. You can add different state events. You can filter either by to include all the events, or to include all the reasons, or to include specific reasons. So if you want to see in the agent state data when they went to lunch, we can see, we can like pull in their agent extension and see when, how long they were on lunch for, and call details. Same thing as in 12.1. Call details it's a detail, call by call, line by line breakdown of all the calls included within the time range. So we'll go ahead and add a few in here. To connection start. Contact start will tell us when the call originated from the point of view of the contact center. Connection start is when the call connected to an agent, if it connected to an agent. And then we'll do CSQ name. Originator DN will give us the caller ID. And then we can do queue time, talk time, ring time, move that one up, and hold time. And if needed, one of our newer additions are added in an early release, call wrap-up data. We will sort by the agent. It's already sorted by agent. We will sort by then. On top of that, we will sort by the connection start time. All right. I gotta find my report. My report, we'll go ahead and run it. Output in PDF is great. Download it. Search time window, I want to do the current week, but we also, the agents are only available from, I believe, 10 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. So we're going to, instead of going all day, we're going to just do 10 o'clock in the morning to 7:59 p.m. at night. And as is. All right. All right. Here's my report. Here is the summary stats table. This is what was available in versions prior to 12.2. We just have, a summarized count based upon the columns that we selected. So inbound ICD, handled and abandoned. Down below, though, here is the time period stats table. This is where the period over period analytics comes into play. So I have it right here broken out by agent, and then furthermore broken out by hour. And I show, each value here I selected also for this table. So we have like an inbound count for each agent. The inbound ICD count, the handled count, and then the abandoned count for each agent. And then right below this, I have the table. This is the table for, again, the same data I selected. So each is a key at the bottom, shows the inbound count, ICD count, and then the handled count and abandoned count, for each agent, broken down by each hour. Here is, this is Alec. Here's Angel. And then followed up by Holly. And then here's the summary. This is where all of the agent data is grouped into one chart. And then right underneath that, I have the just for the lunch states for each agent. We can see, just the name, agent extension, and then how long they're on lunch for. Then underneath that, I have all the call details. A lot of blanks. This one. Well, here we go. Here's all the agent data. So here I have a breakdown by the contact start time, the queue name, the DN the call went to, the queue time, also including ring time, talk time, and hold time. And this was all available again in 12.1 and earlier. Okay, so moving on, we'll jump right into the queue reports. Same idea as the agent reports. The basic setting has not changed. Everything else here, we'll pick a couple of queues, pick in the phone room, and we'll pick on cars. We'll pick on CS. And then under the CSQ statistics, again, same thing as 12.2, or same thing as the agent reports in 12.2. We've added the same content types available for the queues. We'll go ahead and play with some of the same values. Stats table. For queue, we'll look more at total counts. We can do handled counts, maybe some abandoned counts. And maybe average queue time. We can sort the data by queue name and then ascending. And we'll add one more. Down. For this one, I'll include the CSQ rows and the summary. We'll break this one down. Same idea, hour of day. Total count. Switch by count. Average queue time. And one thing before kind of get sidetracked here, this filter at the top, there are a lot of stats available or different fields available. If you don't know, where to find it, or if you don't want to scroll through, use this filter. I point all the customers I work with towards this filter. If you're looking for a count, just type in the word count. If you're looking for handled calls or handled stats, type in the word handled, and it'll take a huge list and make it a little more manageable for you. Okay. All right, and we will stats, and then we'll do a chart again. We'll do a line. Count. Average queue time. Cool. All the same. Line, we'll include one of each. That and call details works in the same way. Worth noting here, and you'll kind of see it here. The charts will only include the stats of the same type. So all of the counts will be together. All of the percentages will be together, and all the times, the different times will be together. So like here, if I did like max hold time as long with this, let's do max hold time and percent. So if we did like if we're looking at the percent of the calls that were abandoned or handled, these two would be broken off in their own chart, and then these two would also be broken off in their own chart. So we'll go ahead, save this. Oh. Get a name, save it. And here's my report. I'll go ahead and run it. Same time frame as the previous report. Same idea, current week. I don't want to see all day. I just want to see from 10 to 8. And we'll go ahead and run it. Okay, here's the stats table like you used to see in 12.1. Underneath that, you'll see the time period stats. So here's both of my queues, and here's a breakdown for the total count, handle count, abandoned count, and average queue time for each of the two queues for the same time range, and then the hours selected. Underneath that, we will have the time period, and here's the line chart. It shows total count, handle count, and abandoned count for the cars queue. And then here again, this is how the different stats are broken out by type. So here's all the times broken out. You have the average queue time with the orange yellow line, and then the max hold time here with the blue line. Then for cars again, we have the percentages. So we have the number of handled calls, and also the percent of the calls that have been abandoned. And then it repeats for the phone room. Same thing: total count, handled count, abandoned count. Average queue time, max hold time for the phone room. And there you go. That's it. So kind of overview of all the features available in 12.2. I have a couple examples, though, that we've done, kind of real-world examples. Here is, I kind of threw some of these together this morning. Here is like an inbound agent report. The idea of this report is to kind of look at the inbound call volume to each of the agents. So here's the same 3 agents from before. I'm looking at their inbound totals. This is run for the current week. I have their inbound counts, ICD counts, handled calls. I'm also looking at their non-ICD calls. ICD calls are calls that came through the queue. Non-ICD calls will be calls that went direct to their extension. So if they're taking a lot of, maybe people are calling into the call center directly instead of calling the number. They're just calling the agents directly, or maybe the agents are taking a lot of personal calls or work-related calls, but they aren't, part of the queue. So you would see these numbers represented, or those calls represented here in these numbers. Below, I just have a simple bar chart showing pretty much the same idea. I'm looking at the number of inbound calls, and then I'm breaking down their call volume based upon calls that were queued and calls that weren't queued. In this chart, same data up here. They have all their calls pretty much come through the queue, so you'll see pretty much everything here is equal or even, with a few calls at the end of the day that are non-ICD calls. Here we're just kind of showing how many of their inbound queued calls that have been presented to them, reflected by the inbound ICD count, how many are actually being handled. And then here we have, out of the non-ICD calls, how many calls are they taking a day, how many calls are handled that are queued calls, and how many calls are handled that are non-queued calls. Other reports, that one. Just an agent not ready report. So we're kind of looking at the not ready stats, the agent stats, for the agents to see, we know when they're ready. Like when they're ready, they're taking calls. But when they're not ready, why aren't they ready, or why aren't they ready? Why aren't they in the queue, available to take calls? So I just have the same 3 agents that I've used before. Shows you, for the week. This is the kind of like the older data that was available in 12.1, where we have a summary of how long they're not ready for, broken down by different not ready states. You can select every single not ready state. I only handpicked a few because these are the ones that were being used the most with the agent state data. So, most of the agents are either going not ready for break time, email correspondence, lunchtime, for projects, or they're away from their desk or training. Then I took the same data and I'm just breaking it down by hour to see over the time how they're why they're not ready, how much time they're not ready for. And then same idea, as with the previous report, just kind of breaking out in a graph. So you can see Alec has a lot of time, for training, so a little bit of time away from desk. And here's Angel again, more time for projects and callouts. So they're taking a lot of time here for projects and callouts. And then Holly is a little bit different. You're seeing she's taking up a lot more time with email correspondence. Some time here for training, and a little bit of time for just being temporarily away from the desk. And then here's the summary chart where I've included all the agent data, into one chart. And then just another chart I built, just looking at the not ready time, just overall. I got rid of the individual not ready states. Just looking, when are my agents not ready the most, for the week, by hours. So you can see the peaks would be 4 p.m., 4 p.m. and noon, and 4 p.m. not ready. And then below here, I just have all the the not ready state details, the same ones that I picked up in the original summary, which is the breakdown of the agent name, when it happened and how long they were not ready for, with the reason code here. And that's the end of the reports. Last agent report I have is what I'm calling kind of the agent transfer report. I get some customers asking, we want to see how many times our agents are transferring out, or transferring calls. Once they take the call from the queue, how many times are they transferring out? So I built just a simple report, just to kind of show the number of inbound calls that came in through the queue and the number of calls that were transferred out of the queue. So, between these 3 agents, they took 259 calls for the current week, and they transferred out 160 of them. Breaking out by hour, the transfers out of the number of inbound queued calls, and then the breakdown by hour of the number of calls that have been transferred out. This is the same data, just displayed in a graphical interface. So sometimes people like sometimes people like numbers. Sometimes they just a pretty picture to look at, where they can see the data at a glance. They can see here they're doing more transfers at 2 o'clock and at 5 p.m. All right, let's take a look at a couple Q reports or CSQ level reports. First one is the CSQ abandon report. This is looking at all of the abandoned calls that came into a queue. Now, these calls, because they're abandoned at the queue level, and they're never presented to an agent, so you will not see these call records in the agent-based reports. So here I'm running the report just for the phone room queue. You see the total number of calls per hour, how many are abandoned, and also a good metric to look at is the abandoned percent. So you'll see here, they only had 55 calls at 10 o'clock, but 18, almost 20% of the calls were abandoned. We're here at 2 o'clock. They had the same number of abandoned calls, but those were only 8.4% of the 119 calls. Here, you're showing total count and then also the number of abandoned calls. So this number here kind of shows you that you have a spike in abandoned calls at 10 o'clock and then a spike at the end of the day as far as the percentage is concerned. But here you're also seeing the abandoned calls aren't really increasing, just the percentage of abandoned calls is increasing because you're having fewer calls and maybe in the morning at night, but you also may have fewer agents staffed at 10 o'clock and at 7 o'clock at night. Here, we're just looking at the abandoned percent, which kind of matches what we're seeing here, where you're seeing the spike in the abandoned here and also spike it at the end of the day. And then also looking at average queue times. So we can see here, here's the blue line is the abandoned average queue time. So it's showing you on average how long are people waiting before they hang up, and you're also seeing here on average how long does it take for someone to enter the queue or to leave the queue, whether the call is answered by an agent or the call is abandoned. And then let me get one more. I know we're running low on time here. Let me take a look at a queue time report. Just kind of looking at simple report. This is really easy. Just looking at queue time. Looking at max queue time and average queue time here. I built out a graph looking at just the max and average queue time for the day. Really simple, just simple graph. You could even, if someone just wanted, hey, I want to see how much queue time, what our queue time looks like, you can get rid of this and just deliver, a single one-page report to a manager or someone who just wants to see a graph. So, all right, I'll cut it short, a little bit short. Running out low on time. So Vic, I'll pass the control back to you, man.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Much appreciated. We are in the QA section of our presentation here. So let me go ahead and share my screen out here. We did have a couple questions come in. Rob has just asked, can we group transfer calls by the destination? Rob, I'm assuming what you're thinking about there is the ability to see how many calls got transferred to certain extensions or certain departments or something like that. At this moment, no. We can definitely do some filtering to show how many calls are being transferred to certain extensions and things like that. But that's something that we'd be more than happy to work with you on and take a look how your system's set up and see if we can help with some of those reports. So that was one question from Rob. Another question came in from Kevin. Kevin had asked, on that abandoned report, can you show calls if they spent a certain amount of time in the queue? In other words, Mike, can we report on abandoned calls if they were in the queue for 30 seconds or more or something like that? So I think the answer to that question, Kevin, is yes. We can absolutely filter down by calls that were abandoned, but also calls that were abandoned, if they spent X amount of time in the queue. All right, so much appreciated. We do have a couple other questions here. I'm going to try to hit as many as we can. I know we are running low on time. Lori had asked, if I run a report for a week, does Variphy show me busy hours for the week? Or busy day if I run it for a month. Okay, I think I understand what you're asking. So yes, what Mike was showing there is when you choose one of those weekly filters, daily filters, quarter hour filters, if you ran that for a week, that would break down your busy hours for the week or your busy days. So, if you're trying to figure out, hey, from a staffing perspective, I need to be able to see for the past 3 months, what are my busiest days? I know that, Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays are my busiest days, or I have the most abandoned calls throughout the month. It allows you to kind of staff better. So the answer to your question, Lori, yes, that's exactly what it will show. It will show the busy hour, day, week, based on that time frame. So I know we have a couple other questions over here. We'll go ahead and reach out to you after to make sure that we get those questions addressed. But now the moment that we all been waiting for, the QA session is done, and our winner is Lisa Hansen. Lisa, much appreciate you joining us today. We'll go ahead and reach out and make sure that you get your $50 Amazon gift card. And again, I want to thank everybody for attending. Mike, you did an awesome job. Much appreciated. Definitely register for our upcoming webinars, Variphy.com, /webinars. Next Wednesday will be how to build reports and widgets to help identify poor quality calls. That's going to be hosted by myself and Mike again, so we're looking forward to that. And if you have not done so, please make sure you sign up for our house party, October 27th, 2020, where we'll be having a several-hour session. Plenty of prizes, plenty of fun stuff, and just a lot of information about what the company's doing, where we're going, and what our roadmap looks like. So again, I want to thank you, Mike, and thank everybody else for joining us today, and have yourselves a great rest of the day. Bye, all.